Hello and welcome back as we start this section on deployment services. So over here on the Orion papers, let's drill down into our account and then click on deployment over here. So as you can see, we're going to talk about CloudFormation and Elastic Beanstalk and how both of these solutions provide us with easy ways to deploy out infrastructure and code into our AWS environments. In this particular lesson, we're going to focus on CloudFormation, so let's jump into that. So I'm going to get in and talk about this diagram in a second, but let's first understand some CloudFormation essentials. So CloudFormation is the pure definition of infrastructure as code. So what you can do is you can convert your application's architecture into a JSON formatted template. So your architecture literally becomes code. You can then use that JSON template to deploy out updated or replicated copies of that architecture to multiple regions. So what are the benefits of this? Well, one, it saves time. You don't have to manually create duplicate architecture in additional regions. And since your infrastructure is now code, you can version control your infrastructure, allowing for rollbacks to previous versions of your infrastructure if new versions have issues. It also provides for a great backup solution for your infrastructure. So you can save previous versions and have them stored just in case you ever have to revert back to any of them. It's also a great solution for disaster recovery. So let's say that you're running your application in one particular region. What happens if that entire region fails? What happens if there's some sort of catastrophe? Well, if you have your code all set up in a JSON formatted CloudFormation template, all you need to do is run it through CloudFormation and it will deploy that entire infrastructure out to any region of your choosing. So instead of having to manually go in and set up each component of your infrastructure, all you have to do is push a few buttons and CloudFormation will do the rest. So clicking back out here, we can take a look at our diagram here. And basically what we do is we take our infrastructure and we turn it into a JSON formatted template. Then we can deploy our infrastructure using that JSON template out to multiple regions at once. One of the great benefits of this, if you have architecture which is multi-region, or let's say that you have an application, but you have customers in the United States and in Asia, and you want to have replicas of the application in both United States and in Asia, well, you can just deploy the architecture out to regions in the United States and in Asia at the same time. It reduces all the duplicate work that is needed. So you can just take your infrastructure, deploy it out as code, and it can deploy these same things, EC2 instances, auto scaling, RDS instances, S3 buckets, CloudTrail, VPCs. You can get really intricate with the type of infrastructure that you want to set up with CloudFormation templates, and you can just deploy them right out. And again, the great thing about having your infrastructure as code is that you can version control it. So you can have version 1.0 of your infrastructure, version 2.0, version 3.0, and you can always revert back to previous versions if newer versions don't work. So just like you would treat any other code or code for your application, you can now treat your infrastructure, your physical infrastructure, in the same way. So for the AWS exam, you don't need to get into the nitty-gritty of how CloudFormation works. We go into that in much more detail in the developer and the DevOps certification courses. However, here you just need to have a general understanding of what CloudFormation is and why it is used, and we're also going to have a hands-on lab as part of this section just to get you going and gain a little bit of hands-on experience with CloudFormation. But for now, we'll complete this lesson. Thank you for watching. You may now move on.